Remember A. Philip Randolph introducing me. I now present to you young John Lewis, the national chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And I stood up and I said to myself, this is it. I looked to my right. I saw hundreds and thousands of young people, many of the young volunteers of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. I looked to my left and I saw many young people, young men, in the trees trying to get a better view of the podium. Then I looked straight out and I started speaking.
You know, the speeches, of course, there were many that day. I remembered John Lewis's speech because, you know, here I am, a young guy, and he was this young guy up there.
Everybody was required to give a copy of their speech in advance, except Dr. King, who didn't do that. But John Lewis did. John was saying black people, which was not in common usage then.
Those of us in the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee wanted the speech to speak for the hundreds and thousands of young people and people not so young that we were working with in the heart of the Deep South. We had prepared a speech that we thought reflected the feelings, the ideas of the people.
The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee was probably at that time the most militant and the most forward in the roughest places. So our speech through John wanted to temper that speech. And we thought that it was the time not to temper the speech. But we also had enough practical politics so that we were willing to have that speech modified, even though it was still a very militant speech.
In the speech, I said something about the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And I said, where's our party? Some people didn't like that. I said, you tell us to wait. You tell us to be patient. We cannot wait. We cannot be patient. We want our freedom, and we want it now. We're now involved in a serious revolution. The black mass is restless, and some people said, you cannot use the word revolution. And Mr. Randolph came to my rescue and said, there's nothing wrong with the use of the word revolution. There's nothing wrong with black masses. I use it myself sometime.
He talked about what was actually happening in the field, people being beaten and the bombings, and how, his life growing up, what he went through, and how we were trying to get the vote. So he was talking about things that we knew about.
But then what people really didn't like, near the end of the speech, I said that we do not see meaningful progress here today. The day will come when we will not confine our marching on Washington, but we may be forced to march through the South the way Sherman did, nonviolently. They said, oh, John, you can't use that. I said, John, that didn't sound like you. That's what Dr. King said. And Mr. Randolph, A. Philip Randolph, says something like, John, we come this far together. Let's stay together. Can we change that? I cannot say no to Dr. King. This man that I admired and loved, he was my inspiration, my hero, and I had so much respect for A. Philip Randolph. So we decided to say something like, if we do not see meaningful progress here today, we will march through certain cities, and I call certain cities around the country.
We live? Yeah. Strick City. Woo! Strick City. All over the world. Strick City, man, we live. Yo, Strick City on the ride. Yo, look like surprise. Yo, taking your city like we live. Yo, man, we live. Yo, taking your city like surprise. Yo, on the ride. Yo, Strick City coming live. Yo.
Amen. It's your boy Strick, and we are live. Strick City Live is happening right now. And I'm so excited about this show. Like, this is going to be a nice one for you, man. So for all my people that, y'all know we're going to be talking politics tonight. So all of my people just trying to make decisions about politics, you don't know what's going on, you're going to be educated tonight, all right? So we're going to talk about Alabama politics. We're going to talk about Trump. We're going to talk about Joe Biden. And we're going to talk about what you need to know in this day and time about our political climate and how you can make a difference. Now, before I get started, of course, I got to do a couple of things, give out the rules. Hey, Laura's not here with me today, but if she was here, she would tell you this. Share this video, all right? Share this video tonight, and what I will do, if you share it on your page, drop your Cash App in the comments. And at the end of the night, I am going to bless somebody to be our winner. I'm going to just Cash App you. It's really that simple. So you mind if I say it again? Here it goes. Share the video tonight. Share this live, whether you are, well, if you're on Facebook, it's easy to share, all right? I can actually see it. Drop your Cash App in the comments. If you're on YouTube watching this, you know what I'm saying? I got some people on YouTube watching as well. I need you to drop your Cash App inside of the comments, even on YouTube, and I got you. For my folks on Twitter, you know what I'm saying? Through Periscope, you can see this live video tonight. Drop your Cash App. All you have to do is share it. Why am I asking you to share it? Because we're going to talk tonight with somebody I know is going to educate you from a political standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Help you out, you know, about what's going on right now in the United States. Some things that has happened in Alabama that may have flown right over your head. We're talking about it tonight. All right, so this is one of those shows. I always tell you we're educational, we're informative, and we'll give you a little entertainment. Tonight, we're going to educate you, all right? So I actually call him a political analyst, and he is. He's family to me, and I feel good that I can actually bring family on to talk. You know, I was blessed with a gift, and so is he, very well spoken. He's going to give us a lot of great details. He is better read than I am when it comes to political stuff. So why not get him on? Why not talk to him? So without further ado, he'll give you more details about himself. But I have none other than Kelvin Wallace. How you doing, sir?
What's going on, cuz? Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, did I do a good job introducing you?
Man, you laid it out. You laid it out. It's exactly what we here for, just to talk.
We're gonna talk about it, man. I'm super excited to have you on Strick City, man. This program, of course, you know I've been doing Strick City for a long time. Started on radio, now, of course, with the advancement of technology and the quarantine going on, I get a chance to kind of do it at the house, in the basement, and people come to Strick City, and then we just share it with the world. Like even my friend Lawrence Conaway, Pastor Conaway, is hanging out with us tonight. So big shouts out to him. Thanks for coming through. I need folks to drop their Cash App as well. Share the video, drop your Cash App, and tonight you will be educated and informed. Now, Kelvin, I want to tell you this, man. Very few people that don't do this all the time. They're intimidated by this, but I know you are as cool as a cucumber tonight. That's just what it is, right? You don't mind doing this.
You know, I am. Yeah, I don't mind. Anything for family. We talk about that
family, right?
Anything
so
for family.
It was a couple of years ago when you actually had your mobile parts store. I wanted to get you on the show to talk about the store that you have, because you've done so many things over the years. So when I started doing this, I kind of said, hey, man, I'm going to get you to come on and do this. Let's talk politics. And anytime I say stuff like that, I always want to be a man of my word. So I thought it was the best time to bring you on. It worked out in your schedule. And we've had some conversations. And number one, all you have to do is watch Kelvin's Facebook page and the comments that he put. Do you put like some of the same type of posts on Instagram as well?
No, not so much. I'm more of a Facebook with my posts. I'm trying to learn how to use Instagram. You know, I'm a little old school, so I'm more with Facebook. But I'm trying to expand my horizon with the Instagram. But But for the most part, on my posts about politics, I am going strictly Facebook.
Facebook. So I get it. That's where I see all the information. And I wake up some days when you make those posts and I'm like, wow, like I would have never known this if Kelvin hadn't put it down. Like, I don't know how much time you spent in research, but I appreciate it. And I know based on the comments, tons of other people are watching it and using your content to kind of help them figure out what's going on in the political arena as well.
Yeah, one of the bigger things is, we all, especially those of us that grew up here in Alabama, we were force-fed Alabama history in order to graduate high school. And it was a revisionist version of the Alabama history, and it was just to make everybody seem like, everything was all good and we had good slave masters and, we were happy to be where we were. And that just wasn't the case, and I think, we've kind of done our kids and a disservice, and we've done ourselves a disservice. And so it was always important for me to go back and read. And when I got into Alabama history and U.S. history, I was like, wow, it was right there. They didn't teach me this in high school. Why didn't we talk about this? Why didn't we? And I didn't, I didn't appreciate that when I got older and really could look for myself and read for myself and kind of gain an understanding of it. So that's kind of my push behind it. It was, I was kind of upset with myself and just the whole thing. Like, man, I've lived all this time and I've been taught the revisionist history and, but for my part, I had every opportunity to go and look and read for myself. And that's what I encourage everybody to do. Just go back and read and look and make sure what they're saying is true.
Well, with technology right now, number one, I have no idea what's in the textbooks, like what they're teaching kids right now. But with technology, everything is at the tip of your fingers. I don't know whether you just say, hey, Google, or hey, Siri, or whatever it is. If you want to know information, it's right there on the internet, or it can get right there to your hand with your phone. I want to say this real quick. Ashley asked, what is the Cash App for? And maybe she came on a little later. I want to share with everybody. I asked people to share tonight's live stream. And the reason why I do that is because I think just like you, all of your friends should be able to get this information. So I'm saying share it from your platform so all of your people can see it. And once you do, drop your Cash App in the comments, and it's a contest. I'm going to pick a winner from those Cash Apps, and I personally, DJ Strick, will send you a Cash App from Strick City. It's really that simple, all right? I want to help. So I got some great information. Kelvin's already started with telling you guys how it worked for him. Basically, with all of us, how would you like to grow up and know that you've been lied to your whole life when it comes to the textbooks and what your teachers were telling you? Like, Kelvin, what do you think those teachers were thinking when they were standing up in front of us telling those lies? Like, they know what happened in history, or what have some sense of what happened, and know that the information that they're giving is really false.
Yeah, I think a lot of our educators during that time, I think they were kind of caught in a conundrum of wanting to keep the peace and not really want to cause disruption. So I think in themselves, they may have given themselves a pass, or maybe felt like they were doing the right thing to, okay, let me just gloss over this subject so that I could, I don't want anybody to get upset, but I mean, the truth is the truth. And that's what we should be teaching. We shouldn't have to lie to people, because I mean, history is history doesn't change. It's what has happened, and and that was my conversation with people about these monuments, and it's history. Yeah, it is history, but what part of history are we talking about? What if you understood the history, especially in Alabama? I know you and I had that conversation about the monuments here in Birmingham.
Right.
I mean, Birmingham wasn't even founded during the Civil War. But we got Civil War monument downtown Birmingham. So, and it was put there after this 1901 Constitution was put in Birmingham. So you put a statue of the Confederate general in downtown Birmingham, in 1905, and Birmingham had nothing to do with the Civil War. So what reason was it there? It wasn't to celebrate heritage. Civil War was over with in 1865. I mean, so these people, they didn't fight in the Civil War. It was nothing. It was meant to let you know, just like the 1901 Constitution was, that we are still in control. That was the only purpose for it.
It
That
was
was it.
every day you walk by this statue, please know to stay in
Yeah.
line. Stay in
Absolutely.
line.
That was the only purpose for it. And so I get excited when people talk about that. Is we erasing history? I mean, why'd you put it there? This has no historical context whatsoever. It just doesn't.
Not to the city of Birmingham. So let me ask you
No.
this question, because this is a bigger, based on the conversation now, a bigger example would be the new conscious movement with even Christopher Columbus. Everybody talking about Columbus, and now we're saying, which we were taught as kids, of what a hero he was for finding the Americas. In actuality, he was the worst of the worst,
Right.
as far as what he did to the indigenous people, not only to America, but even South America. Like, now we get the real story of how this guy was extremely bad, and everybody is like, okay, now we got to remove his monuments. Now we're talking about removing his day. But why did he even get a day in the first place?
Right. And see, now, for me, when you talk about Jefferson and Lincoln, Christopher Columbus, I'm really not, I'm not averse to them having their statues. I'm just not. I think those are, from a contextual standpoint, they actually should be there. Those are historical, contextual conversations you could have about, this is who this man was during this time. He came in 1492 from Spain, and this is what he did when he was here. He was given credit for it. So I'm not a real fan of, okay, let's remove the Lincoln statue. He didn't own slaves, but he did pay off slave masters for their property. He did do that.
Gotcha.
And Thomas Jefferson, he did have a teenage slave that he had babies by. He was a pedophile.
He had a whole family with this lady.
Yeah, he was a pedophile. And
Right.
he was a pedophile. However, that's the portion of history that we should be teaching, because those people, those were, those statues were put in place to represent those people for that time.
Right.
And that's the difference between these statues that were put in your face to keep you in your place. It's a big difference in those situations.
I got you. So now let's talk about the Alabama Constitution for everybody that's watching this in the state of Alabama or not. As I researched for this call, because I didn't want you to come on and have all the information, Kelvin. I wanted to know something. Like, let me have something, because the Alabama Constitution I wanted to talk about, because we've heard reform for years. And I never knew why they wanted to reform it. And I know that our Constitution, the way it is actually written, it is the longest Constitution in the world, all right? So longer than the United States Constitution. I think the second longest Constitution is India's Constitution, and we're still 4 times bigger than that. But inside of the Constitution, the way it was written at the time, Montgomery, or the legislators in Montgomery, wanted to have all of the control for the whole state for whatever reason. But give me your standpoint. Like, what do you think the reason why we need to reform the Alabama Constitution?
I mean, for the first, just to answer the question straight up, we need to reform it. We need to scrap it because it's a racist document. So at the start of the Constitutional Convention in 1901, the John Knox, who was the president of the convention, his opening statement, and what is it we want to do, was his opening statement. Why it is within the limits imposed by the federal Constitution to establish white supremacy in the state of Alabama. That was his opening line.
No.
to the
Hold
150
up now.
delegates.
Hold up now. Now this was when they started it. Tell me, put me in context of that statement again.
The opening statement of the Constitutional Convention. There's 150 delegates. The opening statement, he let them know that the reason they were here was to establish white supremacy in this state. That's what it was.
Wow.
And if you look back from a historical standpoint, so during so of course the Confederates lost the war,
right?
And in 1865, we went through Reformation, and the North came down, and they actually basically held them accountable to the 13th, 14th Amendment, and held them accountable to those to doing what was right by black people.
Right.
Actually, we had 3 black state senators at that point.
At that time,
Congress, at that time, because they were being forced to do right. And if you look at the population during that time, Alabama was, roughly 600,000 white folks and 500,000 black folks. So you had a really good mix of black and white. However, you now had former slaves who were congressional representatives here in Alabama, and that pissed off the former slaveholders and the rich folks. It just did. Landowners and slaveholders, it pissed them off. So when they got a chance to get back at them, so that the end of this was the 1901 Constitution that they came up with, and they were so heated about everything that took over. So we're from the southeast side of that. We grew up close to Tuskegee,
right?
And there was no reason that white people ran Macon County and Tuskegee. So white people made up about 2% of Macon County during the early 1900s. However, they ran the entire city of Tuskegee, ran the governments and everything else. And that was the reason why. They took everything that they could from to skirt the federal laws and limit everything they could. And what it ended up doing, it really hurt poor white folk just as it did black folk.
Right.
In addition to the literacy test they put in, they also implemented a poll tax, which just totally excluded poor white people. And to be honest with you, poor white people make up way more of Alabama than anybody, even to this day. Poor white people are just there. They make up the majority of Alabama. And really, if they really voted, and I tell people this all the time, why are you voting for who you're voting for? What are your issues? And a lot of times I tell some of my lesser well-off white brothers that you're voting against your own best interests. I mean, you're not a conservative. They don't want to hear that, but it's like, look at your life, match it up. You're not a conservative. If you're getting federal benefits, you're in Section 8, you're getting food stamps, your kids are on Medicaid, you're not a conservative. But how does all these entitlements you get line up with you voting conservative? Because that's what you're not. You're bleeding heart liberal. No, they don't want to hear that.
Right.
But it's what they are. So I think, to one perfect example of this, we talked about why is the Alabama Constitution so long. You hit on it earlier when you said that the one of the main reasons was that all the power was concentrated in Montgomery.
Right.
They wanted you to go through them for anything. So in order to change anything in any city here, you got to go through Montgomery. So if you look at when you go and vote in November, you will see that there may be something from Dothan, Alabama, that they want to pass an ordinance for music.
Right.
Why is that? Why is that a national a state referendum? Right. So why do people in Tuscumbia or Florence get to vote on a referendum in Dothan, Alabama? And that's what's going on. That's what's going on in Alabama right now.
Somebody actually put it in the comments. There's actually over 900 amendments to the Constitution based on what you're saying, how it is written. So they have to actually put it out there that way. They have to have it the amendments voted on because that's the way the Constitution is written. That's why everybody keeps saying reform, 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 because
Yep.
rewriting that, but who is going to take the time to do it? What delegation, or now we got to have another convention to actually do it. Kevin, who do you think is going to be at that convention to actually rewrite it?
I mean,
Who's going to be invited to the party to kind of help Alabama do better when it comes to how its Constitution is written? I guarantee you we won't be invited to the party.
Yeah, I mean, and it's unfortunate that the way our power brokers here in this state have set that up. And it's really set up to disenfranchise um, people who are non-factors. That's what they've made us in here. For instance, a perfect example. You remember when 2015 the minimum wage talk was going up about Birmingham is going to raise the minimum wage to $10 in the city of Birmingham. Do you know that never happened? All of a sudden nobody talked about that anymore.
Right.
You know why that didn't happen? Because that didn't happen because our state legislature went and passed an ordinance at the midnight hour in Montgomery that says that no municipality can raise their city wages higher than the federal minimum wage. And it stopped Birmingham from being able to establish a minimum wage for their own city. And that's crazy. And the only way that Birmingham can do anything right now is if they have a statewide referendum. And when you look at all these 900 amendments, a lot of these amendments have overwhelming support in the local area. But you know how they lose? Because somebody in Mobile is voting on a referendum for something in Birmingham that they don't care anything about.
They just put something down.
They put yay or nay. So that's why I don't even vote for referendums. When I see them on there and it has referendum in Baldwin County to allow fishing on Saturday evening at 9, well, I don't care. But if I went in and said no, that could go against the will of the people. And I don't know what the will is in Baldwin County.
Right.
And that's why other constitutions in other states are so much smaller, because there are a lot of municipalities to handle those small issues that are germane to that particular area.
So the importance in the state, when we're talking about the local mayor races, the important roles in the state may be our state representatives. Like, how important is it to get the right people in place in Montgomery to make sure that our local interests are being talked about down there?
Yeah, I mean, it's very important. It's so important to go vote. I mean, even though I know that oftentimes when you're a minority in a red state, you feel like your vote doesn't matter anyway. However, those down ballot votes are very important. We probably won't win the presidency here in Alabama. That's why you won't see a lot of commercials and all that, because they know they got Alabama.
They're not spending money in Alabama, right?
They're not going to do that. However, those down ballot races that elect our representatives are very important, and we need to hold on to what we have. And that's the only way we'll be able to make some type of meaningful change is we continue to vote, get people out to vote to try to get some of these state representatives. What people don't realize is that these state houses in the state Senate are just powerful. They actually control what the state maps in your state that determines your congressional representation.
Right.
They just do. And right now, if you look at the state districts in Alabama, how our congressional districts are drawn in Alabama, it's ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, it is. If you look at and I want to challenge everybody on here, when you get off, look up gerrymandering congressional districts in Alabama, and it's so unfortunate. It looks like a kid drew lines in different areas and said, okay, we got to get 7 districts and we're going to draw here. However, there was a lot of and I use my President Bush word, a lot of strategery involved in drawing those lines.
Yeah, you just
Because
made that word up.
I heard, yeah, I got that from Bush.
Oh, that's
So,
what's up.
so when you look at the map, you look at a predominantly black county like Bullock and Macon, and they made sure to add Houston and Russell and the other counties in to offset the black folk. And they do the
Right.
same thing in Wilcox County. So if you look at it, if you look at the map near Mobile, it's crazy the way they drew it. They would skip over certain areas and just draw wiggly lines, and they cut out particular areas. And what they're doing is they're basically they're dissecting the vote. So they got it set up right now. You're only going to get one Democratic congressional representative in Alabama, and it's mainly black folk. So, and if you look at the map, it's almost insulting when you look at it. It's insulting to me because I know what they did. And right now, I know that's being challenged by in the courts right now and calling them out for it. And they've had some success in North Carolina and in Maryland with that, and they're coming into Alabama. Because it's indefensible when you look at it, and there's no way you can explain any type of methodology on why you drew it that way. It's flat out because that's where I could get my votes, or that's where we can limit this particular race from having an impact in this area.
I don't want people to miss that, Kelvin, because we can easily miss the fact that if you look at the map, I want to say it again so they don't get it. The map of how Alabama is actually divided into the
7 congressional districts.
The seven congressional districts. He's already said it. It does look like a kid drew this map, but it's actually drawn to get a certain amount of votes into one place, which is district number 7 is the only African American or black seat that we have. When there's possibilities to get more if that map was drawn just a little bit different. At one point, we did have 2 seats, and then it changed. When was that? It was in the 90s?
I think so. And if you look at, because they redrew the map in 2011 to fix that and get that seat back.
Right.
Because if you look at, I don't have the map in front of me, but if you look at 7, there is absolutely no reason for 7 to cut in and take a piece out of 6.
Right.
Why? So you've basically drawn 7 in to carve out the black folk in inner city Birmingham, so that Congressional District 6 can have outside the suburbs of Jefferson County in Shelby. That's what they did.
That's exactly what happened. If you watch the map, there's a line through, I think it probably goes around 2059. Yeah. That's what it kind of looks like. There's a line that goes through Birmingham for that 7th district. And, Terry Sewell and Archer Davis have had those seats. And I give it to Terry Sewell has done a great job. But we do have opportunity to get more people that could speak on our behalf in Washington if that map was just drawn just a little bit differently. I still feel like even without the change, if people down in, I want to say Baldwin County, so Mobile area, if black voters will actually vote down there, even with the way the map is built, they should have a better chance of getting someone that represents their voice in office as well. So
yeah, we just got to vote.
Huh?
We just got to vote.
They got to vote. You got to vote. And it's not just about the president. Everybody gets stuck on, and I want to say this, everybody gets stuck on Donald Trump. I get it. Donald Trump has said, Kelvin, he has said that he has done, as a president, the most for black people ever. What do you think about a comment like that?
Let me see what I need to say. Emancipation Proclamation.
That's just one. That's just one example, right? Let's just start with that one, right?
The Civil Rights Act, the Voter Rights Act, fair housing. So if you've done all of that, so you're saying that the things you've done trumps all of that. Emancipation Proclamation, Voter Rights Act, Fair Housing Act, voting rights. It just doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. All of these are political talking points, and it's insulting. When you hear that, And what bothers me most is when people believe that. When I have people try and tell me, see, he's done more for black people than, man, what has he done? You tell me, what has he done? I would give Donald Trump credit for the First Step Act. That First Step Act was really needed. However, that First Step Act was really a bipartisan act. I mean, when you look at it, it was pushed to him. A lot of people don't understand or don't want to understand the origin of a bill. And you talk about my Facebook page. I actually posted that one day. We grew up on Schoolhouse Rock. I did.
Right.
I know how a bill works.
So let's just do this, because I did have that ready for us today. I saw that on your page talking about a bill. Of course, I got Schoolhouse Rock ready. We're going to take a break. Everybody that hasn't seen the Schoolhouse Rock video, guess what? You get a chance to understand how a bill is actually introduced and how it runs right here on Strick City Live.
As your body grows bigger,
your mind must flower.
It's great to learn,
'Cause knowledge is power. It's Schoolhouse Rocking, the chip off the block of your favorite schoolhouse, Schoolhouse Rock.
I'm just a bill.
Woo, you sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee, but I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will, but today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea. Some folks back home decided they wanted a law passed, so they called their local congressman, and he said, "You're right, there ought to be a law." Then he sat down and wrote me out and introduced me to Congress, and I became a bill. And I'll remain a bill until they decide to make me a law. I'm just a bill, yes, I'm only a bill, and I got as far as Capitol Hill. Well, now I'm stuck in committee, and I'll sit here and wait while a few key congressmen discuss and debate whether they should let me be a law. I hope and pray that they will, but today I am still just a bill.
Listen to those congressmen arguing. Is all that discussion and debate about you?
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones. Most bills never even get this far. I hope they decide to report on me favorably, otherwise I may die.
Die?
Yeah, die in committee. Oh, but it looks like I'm gonna live. Now I go to the House of Representatives and they vote on me.
If they vote yes, what happens?
Then I go to the Senate and the whole thing starts all over again.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And if they vote for me on Capitol Hill, well, then I'm off to the White House where I'll wait in a line with a lot of other bills for the president to sign. And if he signs me, then I'll be a law. I hope and pray that he will. But today I am still just a bill.
You mean even if the whole Congress says you should be a law, the president can still say no?
Yes, that's called a veto. If the president vetoes me, I have to go back to Congress and they vote on me again, and by that time you're so
By
old.
that time, it's very unlikely that you become a law. It's not easy to become a law, is it?
No, but how I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
He signed your bill. Now you're a law.
Oh, yes.
Strict. Hey, I had to put that down for you. I, of course, remember Schoolhouse Rock. I'm young enough to remember that. I know Kevin is probably like 10 years older than me. If we do the math, it's probably a good 10 years different in our age. And he remembers a whole lot more about Schoolhouse Rock than I do. So just so you know, I'm just saying, you know, sometimes you gotta, be a politician and state the facts. So we talked about a bill. I want to shout out Charlie Mack, Ashley Milford, Alex Didell, again, Pastor Conaway, thanks for hanging out with us. Fleming, who else we got made a comment tonight? Everybody that's checking us out. Alan, big shouts out to you, Alan Sconyers. Corey Johnson, and Eric, man, thank y'all for watching this. We're just trying to inform some people. I did have Ashley put in her Cash App. Y'all don't miss an opportunity for not just you to get this information tonight, but all of your friends. If you share it on your friends list, guess what I want you to do? I want you to drop your Cash App, and we'll actually do this together. Everybody will learn together, okay? So here we go. We saw the bill being introduced on Capitol Hill. I mean, you have to love that video there. Tell me, Kelvin, as we do this for people, we talked about how President Trump has done while he was in office. Of course, I know some of the things he tout as what he's doing well. Like he was talking before the pandemic. He was talking about how the unemployment numbers were at as low as it's ever been. And of course, we know, by being educated people, that a lot of the things that was happening during the Obama era that helped him get to where those numbers were so high. But of course, he's taking that as, hey, it's been done. The numbers are here during my presidency. This is what I'm doing for black folks. Is that right to come up with that idea that he's trying to take credit for what Obama did?
Historically, that's correct what you just said. So unemployment was going down anyway. The economy was booming prior to COVID-19. The stock market is not the economy.
Right.
I want to repeat, the stock market is not the economy. We've been in a bull market. The stock market has been rising since 2009 when Obama got us out of the recession. It only stopped in February of 20 when COVID-19 got here. So, however, the national debt pre-COVID-19 had risen $3.5 trillion under Trump. So the economy never has been booming. It has been in a tailspin since he got in office.
So, Kevin, let me interrupt you real quick. So I played the video for the bill, right? Schoolhouse Rock, the old Schoolhouse Rock, right? Well, apparently that's not something that Facebook wanted me to play. So they actually dropped the feed. So what I'm going to do is go down and come back up. So just give me 1 second to do that, and we'll start this thing over again. So my person on YouTube stayed with me. Now let me get it. Hey, y'all. I appreciate you hanging in there with me. So all of my Facebook people, this is what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to actually share it again to get you back on live with me, okay? One of the things that I've learned over time is that some videos have their own type of codes with them, and they could be stopped based on Facebook's algorithm. I think I'm saying that word right. So Facebook actually stopped it, and I'm going to have to ask you guys to come back in. We're back live. I'm actually shared my video public again. We probably got about 15 more minutes of time. I want to talk to Kevin about some more stuff, and I don't want to miss an opportunity for you guys to hear it. So I need everybody to come back. Kelvin, that being said, share with me like how you personally got into wanting to know more about politics, like what really drove you. I know you mentioned like learning in school that you didn't have, the textbooks didn't share that information with you, but as an adult, what made you say, no more of that? This is how I want to be educated about our history and how I want my kids to know about it as well.
I think probably I graduated from Troy. Um, I had one black professor at Troy. His name was Mr. Jerry Henderson. He was a political science instructor, and he was on it. He actually left Troy and joined the Obama campaign, and he took one of my good friends, Willie Flowers. He actually is over the NAACP up in I think Prince George County in Maryland, um, and they went up to work on the no, it wasn't. It was the Clinton campaign. They left Troy to work on the Clinton campaign, I believe that's what it was. And but he always challenged us to learn the truth about it. I he was the one that pointed out to me in 1993 about the gerrymandered maps of Alabama and how
Gotcha.
wrong it was. And
Right.
so I ended up my degree is in social science and in psychology, and it's heavily political science. And
Gotcha.
it just opened my. It was so interesting to me to what I didn't know
Right.
about the history that does not change. And so and it kind of, again, for me, it was like, I can't believe that I didn't even, you know, I was too lazy to pick the book up and learn for myself. So it just kind of, pushed me to go in and try and, gain some knowledge and be able to have a conversation with people, an honest conversation with people about history.
That's what's up. With that being said, again, I use a lot of your commentary, a lot of the posts that you make to kind of have talking points myself and actually figuring out which direction we need to go. Because, I mean, I think from most sides, it's not like you are Democrat or that you have Democratic thoughts or you just have Republican thoughts. You are open up to all of, I guess, the errors and flaws of what we see the political landscape is today. Saying that, what is your thoughts about what we have as candidates right now? I mean, we got Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Is Joe Biden really better than Donald Trump?
To answer that, man, and I've had this conversation with some close friends of mine, and I often say I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent thinker. I have voted across the platform during elections. I just do. Uh, what we got now, you got two segregation era elderly white men that we got to choose from. That's
That's it.
what we got.
Those are the
And
choices they gave us.
those are the choices that you got. And what for you, you know, I think what we have to do is we can look at both of these guys from a objective standpoint, and I think that everybody who's watching this video on Facebook in the world, I think everyone has done something media worthy in their lives. They could have got in trouble for. However, they're not media worthy. They're not media worthy people. So
Right.
it doesn't get the traction that a Trump or a Biden would get. So man, so how does your past compare to Biden or Trump? It's the question that I would ask people. How have you grown? How have you evolved? Have you repented from some of the things you've done? So is being vocally pro-life like Trump says he is that enough for you? You know, he's vocally pro-life. However, what people don't know is that Donald Trump paid for an abortion for a woman while he was married to Melania when Barron was a baby. And he had an excuse for it and said, well, she threatened that she may, take her life, and I didn't want her to take her life. So, but if you didn't have anything to do with her, if you weren't with this woman, why would you even do that?
The
So,
reality of what we're dealing with as people. I always say, Kelvin, like growing up and the scientist down in Tuskegee, what's his name? That really famous scientist. Tuskegee University. I want to get Booker T. Washington and George Washington Carver mixed up.
well, Booker T, the founder,
Not the founder, the scientist.
you talking about Carver then?
Right. George Washington Carver, right?
Yeah.
I remember going and doing a tour of they have the museum for him, right? And I remember listening, thank you, Eric, as well. I remember listening to his voice, and I would say, man, why does he sound like a old lady? I don't know if anybody else ever had that. I mean, he sounds just like an old lady. That's what I said as a kid. I couldn't have been 10, 11, or 12 years old at the most. This is really what I thought. As an adult male, I actually found out his story, how he was actually brought up with a white family and was castrated. All right. So the reason why he never had a deep voice is because he didn't have that inside of him to actually I guess the part of our bodies as men to give us that deep voice. He sounded like a woman. So the tragedy of his life, you can actually see it as he's gotten older, like he never married. We never know much about his private life. Of course, we know all about the inventions that he had, but the reality of what this man had to go through, even though he gave us a lot of inventions. As a kid, I might have laughed, like, why does he sound like that? But as a man, I feel sorry for the reality of life that we have. The reality is Trump could say, hey, I'm pro something, and we all know, like you mentioned one time, I guarantee you it was not just one time that Trump actually paid for an abortion. Now, that's hearsay. That's my personal opinion. Okay, that's my personal opinion. But what I'm saying is there's a lot of things. You mentioned, hey, we all done some, I guess, media-worthy things, but we're not media-worthy people. To be honest with you, I grabbed some girls before, but I might have grabbed them by the arm, okay? That's about as far as I grabbed. I haven't did some of the things, the outlandish things, locker room talk, all that kind of stuff. I don't know that it's gone that far. That being said, Donald Trump has such a history, and we're talking about him. Joe Biden is not he's not an angel by any means of the spectrum. Like, this guy has a past as well.
Yeah. So you got to look at that. When Joe Biden stands there and say, if you ain't, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. How does that reconcile with his positions in 73 and 74, where he consistently voted against bills that would integrate schools and busing? He consistently did that. However, my deal with Biden is that he has acknowledged that and said, okay, and has said, okay, I was wrong for that, and that, I've evolved in my positioning, and it does matter, so you're not. Yeah, this is what I did. When you got a long political record, when he was he's a segregation era politician. Politicians say and do anything to get reelected. That's what they do. Whether they believe it, some of them do, but a lot of them don't. It's about getting elected and holding on to that office.
And that's the truth of the matter. I've been around a lot of politicians along election time, and I will guarantee you it's exciting to be around politicians around election time. They are some of the coolest people up until election day. I'm telling you, they are fun to be around. But after election day, whether they win or lose, I mean, it's over with. I mean, they turn our phones and everything. Like, I'll call you, but they never do. I had one sitting in the studio one time and told me that they were going to, when they got in office, they were going to do all they could to support what I was doing. Strick, we're going to write you a check is actually the words that they said. I never got a check. I never got a check. It's not that I was expecting it, but, I mean, you had to go there with my time. Like, I was just trying to support, and I'm a supporter on every side. You mentioned it today, and I'm the same way. I'm not a Democrat or Republican. People need to know that I like being balanced. It's about the facts. It's about the real topics on each of them. Now, what I don't like is, we remember when Obama wore a tan suit. All right, you remember that?
Yeah.
He wore a tan suit, and America just went array. They just was like, what in the world is happening? That's so not presidential. Really? Really? Like, and I'm going to say this is my opinion. For everybody that's watching, it's my opinion based on who represents us in the White House. For me, it may have been a first time, and I could be wrong, that we had a foreigner first lady. Like his record of his marital status and who's married to should have disqualified him to be the president of the United States, and that's my opinion.
Well, that's a good point. And then and if you balance that with his position on DACA and immigrants, I don't understand how Melania deals with him. Well, I know she don't. I mean, from what I hear, but it just doesn't square with reality of it. She hung out with him long enough to get a green card and bring her mom and daddy over here. That's what she did.
Hey, everybody's got an end goal, right? Everybody's got a game to play.
Right.
And listen, I'm not mad at her. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Like, why does somebody like that marry a Donald Trump? Like, it's easy to understand why that happens. Like, she had something she needed, which is a green card or get over to the state. I mean, he's got tons of money. Like, that's the world that Donald Trump lives in. So we understand where she's at. Now, today, there was a video, Kevin. I want to talk about this real quick before we have to get out of here. Doctor out of Houston, all right? Black doctor. She's actually a Nigerian, I think she was, talking about Nigeria. How this drug that Donald Trump said that he was taking, now she's using it in a treatment along with zinc and another drug to help COVID patients that it has. She called it, in combination with those other drugs, a cure, and social media took it down.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I saw that. I mean, I'm a fan of anything at this point that could get us back to some sense of normalcy. I don't think we should politicize COVID-19 whatsoever. If hydrochloroquine works, it works. It doesn't work for everybody, and that's the part that I think we need to be careful about. If you have pre-existing conditions, a lot of people know. We have an aunt. Granddaddy's sister passed away from COVID-19.
Right.
She had some underlying health issues, and I know she had hydrochloroquine. And what I want to say about that, we need to follow the CDC guidelines about social distancing and wearing a mask. And I think the best way that we as a people can help ourselves is we got to get in shape. I mean, our biggest issue in America is our high caloric intake and our slow to no caloric burn. We don't work out.
Right.
We can't continue to eat all this crap and think that, so your body is already fighting to work through all your other issues that you got from your high blood pressure to whatever other underlying issues that you may have. And then you introduce COVID-19. And this is where we're having the bigger issues. So I think that, in America, we got a weight problem, So I think, and it's even worse with this Generation Z with the social media, because they don't do anything. I watch my kids, man. They get on that Call of Duty and the live stream or whatever. And like when you and I were kids, we go out to the rec and play basketball and be out all night running, and they don't do any of that. And I just think that from an American standpoint, we have so many underlying health issues related to our gluttony and not being active and doing anything to help ourselves, that that's why our death rate is high. Right. It is. We have a 23% death rate for COVID-19.
And that's Black people.
Yes, that's high. I mean, so
very high.
No matter what anybody tells you, we have a high death rate. You may say it's not. Well, only a certain number of people, we got 4.4 million people with COVID-19, and I think 144,000 people have died and we want to act like that's not a big deal. It is a huge
That is
deal.
a very big deal. That is a very big deal. But I hear you saying this, and for people that don't know Kelvin, he is a big with running, exercising, and being healthy. Now, I've also seen you eat ice cream. You know, ice
Oh
cream
yeah, I love it.
is my best
Yeah,
thing in the world. I'm like,
yeah.
I had to stay away
Bluebell,
from it. You know, but
yeah,
I
bluebell.
actually work out because of you motivated me to be more active. Let me say it that way. Now, I'm not doing any type of marathon. I don't 5K. If there was a 0.5K, I could do that. I could do that. But I'm not doing 26 miles. You know, who wants to run that long? Like, if you're running longer than an hour, I don't think your body is designed to do that. But hey, you know what? I'm all for you doing all the marathons you can all could do. I will cheer you on, brother. I want to see the medals when you get back.
Right, I appreciate it.
So what made you get into running like that, running marathons?
Man, who was that? I don't know who I was. It may have been I got challenged. I think I was maybe 40, and somebody told me I couldn't run a marathon, and it was the one here um, in Birmingham, and this was
Mercedes,
in
maybe?
yeah, it was the Mercedes Marathon, and the guy told me you wouldn't make it, you wouldn't make it. So he challenged my manhood and said, you won't make a marathon. So, and I entered the marathon, I sure did, and I had a good friend of mine who's a marathoner called me and told me I was making the biggest mistake of my life,
That's
and that
funny.
I needed to do the half. Or he said, because I believe that because you arrogant and you're gonna show that you could do it. You're gonna finish that marathon. And he said you're gonna be done with running. So he said my advice is for you to do the half, then come back the next year and do the full marathon. And that's what I did. I ended up doing the half in 2014, and I came back and did a full marathon, my first full marathon in 2015, and now I'm up to number 7 on full marathons. So I've done 7.
Wow.
You know, I went to uh, Berlin, Germany last year and
Right.
knocked it out. Went over to Paris, and it was nice. So I try to make trips and vacations and runcations out of them when I do it. But that's how I got into it, man. I got how we get as men and somebody tell us what we can't do, and that's all you got to do with me is tell me
What
what
you
I
can't
can't
do,
do
and
and
that'll
how I
get it
won't
for
make
you.
it.
Well, I'm not
Oh
gonna tell
yeah,
you what you can't do, brother. And I just on your behalf tomorrow, I'm gonna run a mile just because I had you on the show. Just 1 mile
I
tomorrow,
appreciate it.
and I'm gonna do one push-up too.
I'm gonna check on you too. I'm gonna make sure you do
Hey, the one push-up be easy, and that mile will get me. That mile will get me. So I'm a treadmill runner. And I actually have a TV in my little room with my treadmill, right? So that's how I learn now. I actually watch YouTube videos while I'm running, and that's how I consume all my content to kind of know what I'm doing. So whatever it is that I need to do, I find a YouTube video on it. I actually will run while I listen to it, or I'll stop it and go do the work, see if I can make it work, and I go back to running and watch more videos. So that's my secret. Hey, so last question for you tonight. We gave out a lot of information, and it's important for people to be educated on these political topics. What is the best way? Let me say it that way. What is the best way for people to educate themselves on these topics?
I think the best way to do it is to tune out these political ads because they're not helpful. They're going to be slanted for whichever candidate that you want to vote for. My best advice for Alabama is to really pay attention to the down ballot here in this state. Man, we've got to get our the state house, our state legislature is where it is in most states, and people really don't pay attention to that. They don't look at down ballot voting for these local judges and representatives, and it has such a major impact on it. So from a larger scale, from the national elections, we got a Senate race coming up. We've got to turn out to vote, man. You got to turn out to vote. Do your own research. Know that these commercials that I'm sure I could, you know, script a Doug Jones commercial now talking about, Tommy Tuberville a football coach with no experience. I'm sure that's coming. And Tommy Tuberville is going to come in and say how much he loves Trump and, how he's going to make America great again and protect our borders. Now, what borders he protecting in Alabama, I don't know.
Right. Come on.
That's what he's going to say.
Come on.
So, again, do your own research, man. And really, if there's an issue that you're really close to, just search it out. And that's what I typically do. I hear somebody make a comment here and there. I'm like, man, I need to learn. Like when I leave here today, I didn't know that about George Washington Carver, because you got me.
Did I get you on that?
Yeah. So you know what I'm doing tomorrow, right?
You got to research that. Listen, as a grown man, my feelings were hurt. Like I was going to preach a sermon on it, but I think it was just too heavy of a topic to add. But I got like my child, like we all have the life before you knew this. The life before you knew the reality that Martin Luther King was really shot by the government. Like it was just a thought before. Somebody did the conspiracy theory. But then when you get old enough to know that they were actually FBI, they were actually court case, Senate hearings about this whole thing, and they admitted it. You know what I'm saying? Like this is known fact now. And how do you live in a world? And this is where I think, I'm going to say this and I'm going to let you finish, where we differ with America, black people and white people. Like you could actually kill and martyr our leaders and expect us to be pro-America. Like, why are y'all so angry? Like, oh, really? Like, do we need to make a list for you? Like, why we would be angry? Martin Luther King would be on the top of that list. So that's me on my soapbox for people that don't understand why we have a problem with some of the things America has done. So there you go. People want to get more information about your political stance. You just want to send them to the Facebook page where they can actually see some of the stuff that you're doing.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
because people want to know. Like, hey, listen, Kevin, you on tonight. Like, people want to know what this political analyst has to say. They're gonna ask you questions. I got a ton of people like in the comments, even with our second stream, because our first stream got taken down because of the bill commercial I put in there. But the second time, we still got people coming on. I appreciate everybody from Chris Wright, you know what I'm saying, watching the show today, and all of our people from Opelika that are watching, and all of our family that's watching. Big shouts out to y'all. Anything you want to say or any shout outs you want to give before we end?
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's, knowing where we come from. We're from Opelika. A lot of people around here kind of get a kick out of the fact that my mom and your dad, sister and brother.
Right.
People don't know that, but it's like, that's just what it is. And I got a twin brother and you got a twin sister, and we got family full of twins. You got twins. I got twins. It's just kind of cool, man. I appreciate it. It is
very cool.
I appreciate you having me on here. So I got one book from that I would like to recommend folks to look at. The Color of Law. If you just want to get a little bit deeper into, learning about history and the whys behind why we have neighborhoods like we have. Oftentimes you hear me say, people say, where in your neighborhood, well, why do black people tear up their neighborhood? And my response is, why do we have our neighborhoods?
Right.
So if you go read The Color of Law, it'll really go into FHA and VA, mortgage discrimination, redlining, racial gerrymandering, segregation. It's just an excellent read that will bring you up to speed on a lot of stuff that our government did. So our government created the ghetto.
Come on now.
That's
did. The truth. That's the truth.
So, so they created the ghetto and over-policed it because you didn't have slavery anymore.
Right.
And we put our people in jail. And what did we do when we put them in jail? We rented them back out.
Free labor.
Former slave owners. That's what we did.
Free labor.
The Color of Law is a really good book. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about it, about yourself and the whys behind why we have this neighborhood or why we have an inner city, it was by design, and the government was complicit in that design. So don't be fooled by that. We didn't just like downtown and move there. That ain't how that happened.
That's not how it happened. I got you. Listen, it is so nice to have family to take part in what I'm doing on this show. You know, I have a lot of guests and a lot of friends over the years that has been willing to come onto the show. For your willingness to come hang out with me and truly be family, man, it means a lot to me. I love the conversation. Like, we could go on and on about this stuff and really learning a lot about politics, and I'm hoping that we help somebody else. So for all of our folks that are watching, all of our people in small town Alabama, listen, the sky's the limit. I want to encourage you. You know, you don't have to leave those small towns to make a difference, but you can be anywhere you want to be in the whole wide world. And you're seeing us, but, you know, we have families, we have children that are, I got kids that are outdoing me. My second son is graduating Auburn in August. He's already working his real big boy job, and I'm so excited about them having a much better opportunity than I did and seeing it go through. And I know, Kelvin, you can say the same thing about your kids having a little bit better opportunity than you, and it's based off of your experience in small town Alabama.
Right.
So that being said, hey guys, you know what you got right here is DJ Strick, you know what I'm saying? And I am so happy that you guys have hung in there with us to actually catch this show tonight. Thursday, all right? Thursday, which is this Thursday, a couple days from now, I got Alvin Garrett coming. So he is the singer. He's got a new project out. We're going to be talking about his new project, talking about some of the things he's doing with the Dannon Project, and you don't want to miss that. Strick City Live, Tuesdays, 8 p.m., Thursdays, 8 p.m. I need you to share this with people you know. God bless y'all.
We live? Yeah. Strick City. Woo! Strick City. All over the world. Strick City, man, we live.